Hello all. Today we are going to discuss about what is an API or an application interface. Now, there are applications, and every business in today's day and age has an application to run all their day-to-day activities. So even a barber shop must have an application to I don't know, to capture how many people are coming in and how much money they are making and how much money they are losing and so on. So I think it's well established that every organization has an application to, almost every organization has at least one application to run their business. Now that's an application. I'm sure we all know what an application is. So example, Amazon would be an application. JP Morgan Chase website would be an application. So these are all applications. Now, so where does API comes into the picture? In order for an application A and application B to interact, we need an API or an application interface. So it might be an exchange of data, or it could be so let's say, for example, it is a restaurant and the order comes in through Grubhub. So I'm sure you all know what the application Grubhub does. If not, do Google it. So Grubhub is an application using which you can order things, right? So now I have placed an order for some hamburgers on using my phone on Grubhub. Now it goes to the restaurant. So now Grubhub application must talk to the restaurant. Let's say I placed that order from Applebee's or Chick-fil-A. Right now, Grubhub application must talk to the Chick-fil-A application, must transfer my info over to them and forward the order, and then they might give a response that the order will be ready in 30 minutes. So Chick-fil-A or Applebee's will talk to Grubhub and I'll get that info. So in order to facilitate this, we need an API in place. That's one example where API comes into the picture. Now, another area where API comes into the picture is, let's say, for example, Uber. So now, the very first thing that comes to your mind when you say Uber is you can book a ride and then you can go from point A to point B. So now something that a very important feature in Uber is the Google map. So the map itself doesn't belong to Uber, but it belongs to Google. But then it kind of Google lends it using a service level agreement, and they get charged. Uber gets charged based on the amount of usage. And so they are kind of lending their Google Maps over to Uber and making money. Likewise, Uber is using another application, another organization's feature using an API. So this can be done using the Google API, right? So using the API, you can borrow another organization's feature and use it for your own business needs and also customize it if need be. So when I say customize it, if need be, what is that? Now in Uber, if you book a ride, you can see the car coming and you can see all that, but it's not originally part of Google Maps, right? So that is the customization. So you can also customize it. So this is where the API comes into the picture. There are other APIs, like, let's say, for example, you are building an application for your business and you want the Twitter feed to be shown for whatever reason on the dashboard, or you want the Bloomberg terminal feed to be shown on the dashboard. You can always use the Bloomberg terminal API or Twitter API and use their feature by signing a service level agreement and paying a price, right? Based on the usage, or it depends on the agreement. So this is an API on a very high level. So why do we need to know about API as a business analyst? Now, you don't need to know how to code for an API, but you need to know what an API is, how it works. In other words, you don't need to know how to construct a microwave oven, but it will look really stupid if you don't know how to use one. So you need to know what an API is on a very high level and how it's used and how it interacts, so that you as a business analyst or a scrum master can have a sensible conversation with the developers or testers or the architect or whoever it is. So as a BA, you need to know what is a BA or a scrum master or a project manager. You need to know what an API is on a theoretical level, on a very high level. You don't need to know how to code for an API, but you should know what an API is on a high level, on a systems level.